Hello and welcome to the Writing for Screens live Ask Me Almost Anything and Writing in Public project session number 8. I am actually not doing this live because Ecamm, the streaming service that sends me live to YouTube, is having a problem. Hold on, I'll show you. I'm having an error creating broadcast. Anyway, so the deal is I'm just going to record this live. I am alive as I do this. You are alive as you're watching it. The minor distinction that we are not alive at the same time should not matter because the work must go on. So let us get to the cool and groovy things that I have worked out for this project over the weekend. Let's talk. Oh, briefly. Usually I'm live Monday through Friday, if I can, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so that you can ask me anything. Right now, if you want to ask me something, you should do it by going to writingforscreens.com. You look for Contact Me. It's at the bottom of every page, and it's even got its own tab. You can find it. Contact me if you want to ask a question, or there, you're here on YouTube, just put it in the comments. It will zip through me electronically, and I will know you asked. So let us move on. Okay. The first thing that came to me a couple days ago was I have not been thinking enough about this as a comedy. And that's really important. So I'm working in the overview. I tried to remind myself, this is a comedy. This is a thing. I was watching Black Monday, which is just a terrific series on Showtime, and it's very dark and it's very comedy. I mean, it's just like joke, and yet at the same time, great story and wonderful twisty plot and just a cool combination of the two. And I thought, hey, that's actually what I'm trying to do here. So that got me to models. This is part of the overview. When you're doing your project and you set up an overview, it's sort of like, this is like the Bible, the place where you put your big thoughts. And I realized that one of the things I wanted was, I put down the models, things that I'm going to be trying to be like. And so I started to think, what are the models for this? Because at first I've just been going thriller, mystery. But the truth is, it's much more twisted than that, of course. So my models really are the Fargo, the series, and this Black Monday and Nurse Jackie, at least the beginning couple of seasons. It changed showrunner and I think lost its way a little bit. But anyway, so models, it's something to try to think out for yourself when you're working on a project. Just make a note. What do I think this should be like? One of the cool things that you can do is you have a model which is not in the same genre, but it's got a feeling, or it's got a structure, or it's got a character that you want to try and make your version of. That's what a model is. It's a thing you want to steal from, to be perfectly honest. So that was something I was working on. Then, those are some of the things I did. Then I got to Norman. At some point, I think last episode, I changed his name from Hugo to Norman. Something happened just while I was struggling with Ecamm and trying to figure out. I was thinking about merchandise. I was getting a cup of coffee and I had the mug, and I thought, oh, I've always wanted to get mugs with my slogans like think in scenes or the 6 essential questions on them. And that is in the world of YouTube and such called merchandise. And then merch made me think merch, M-E-R-C-H, merchandise, made me think of M-U-R-C-H, Walter Murch. I'm just going to type that here so that we know. Walter Murch. This guy is an amazing editor and sound creator and cinematic advisor, and you should look him up, find out about stuff. Anyway, the point is, I like that name, Murch. It suddenly came to me. That's Norman's last name, Murch. So, Norman Murch. Let's get it in the overview. Norman. Norman Murch. I'm beginning to like him better. Norman Murch. Excellent. Okay. Cool and groovy. Let's get back to this. Okay, Norman. So Norman's struggling with journalism. Norman's struggling with the fact that he started out to be a journalist and has lost his way, has lost has frankly lost his job, and in fact the entire field in which he worked he has lost, which has pissed him off, and who cannot sympathize with that? But one of the things that's bugging him is the thing that he studied to be, that he worked to be, that he has very high ideals to be, has become a thing that anyone can do. And that is, in fact, the core of the web sleuth amateur online detective community is by crowdsourcing people who are not actually detectives, you can be a better detective than the real detectives, which just has got to piss Norman off, I think. And so one of the things that I began to think about is his issue is going to be partly, you can't just say, I'm a journalist, I'm a detective, and you are one, or can you? And that really, I think, is going to be an important issue for Norman all the way through. Now, here's a thing I've been thinking about that I'm not doing, that I have to start doing for you. I got to stop putting things in the overview. I've got to start putting them in the outline, Norman. And one of the most important things, let's just make this a big deal right here and now. Think in scenes. You got to think in scenes at all times. I am telling this to myself. Glenn, think in scenes. Stop thinking big theory. Stop thinking overview. Think outline. So therefore, I'm going to put this Norman thing in here. And it's a possible event because it's really not an event yet, but it's going to be. It's going to be something that he does. It's going to be an argument he has with someone. This, in fact, is going to be central to his story. So I'm putting it in the outline where I can look at it and say, well, that's not a scene, Glenn. But it's going to start me thinking, where are the scenes where he has an argument about this, or where he takes an action to defend his belief or to attack someone else's? That's going to be a scene. So I make it this kind of line. See how it says possible event? That's so that when I look through the outline, I'm going to see, oh, that one's not a scene yet, but it's got to be. That is how I outline. Cool. So, Norman and journalism. The main thing is someone in the group should definitely be calling themselves an investigative journalist, which is just going to tick him off. Let's just bold that. All right. Sorry, was that too loud? Okay. I'm just happy to be working. It is fun. Now, also, that name Karen. I've been calling the villain Karen because I thought of her. I was thinking about Mary McNamara, who was a phenomenal journalist and investigator. I do not mean to in any way impugn her. I was simply thinking I had watched the series I'll Be Home in the Dark, I'll Be Gone in the Dark, about finding the Golden State Killer. That had inspired much of this story. So I was just thinking, middle-aged woman, investigative online person. But now this person is younger. This person is a Zoomer. Let's look for Karen. Karen. Okay, there's only one Karen there, so therefore I got to get Karen. I'm going to the overview, and I am looking for Karen, because I'm going to turn Karen into someone else. Karen should not be. Zach. Okay, just went from boomer to zoomer. Karen is Zach. Yeah, that's it. Cool. So that was my next note, was change Karen from Karen. And then this was what I was just saying. I am just so on top of it. Get it into the outline. Whatever you're thinking, as soon as you can, get it into the outline, out of the overview, out of the notes. You copy and paste, you get everything into the outline. The outline becomes a sprawling mess, but the idea is that your overview should be your crib sheet, your easy notes that say, this is the bottom line on this character, now move on, get into the scenes. So, also, the idea of the killer as an old man. There was an article in the New York Times over the weekend about a serial killer named Cottingham, and a local police officer from Jersey who was deeply invested in finding out who had killed these two young women 30, 40 years ago. And he believed it was Cottingham, who was known as a serial killer in New York City, very different types of people. So he was killing sex workers in Times Square in the 70s. These two young suburban women were killed, and he still believed that it was a connection. It turned out it was true. The story was about the fact that it took decades to get Cottingham to admit it. And that got to me to thinking about the fact that, like with the Golden State Killer and many others, because of the new technology that is catching them, these serial killers are getting caught when they have more or less retired. And that's sort of mind-blowing to think that you catch the guy, you catch the demon, you catch the monster, and he's some pathetic old man, and yet still evil. I want to deal with that. So I am going to highlight this idea of a killer as an old man. This, alas, has to go into the overview because it's just not time yet. It is not a character. It is not a scene yet. Just getting it in there. All right. The idea of a serial killer as an old man. Old man. Older than me. Okay. That's another cool thing that we're going to do. So we're developing the characters. We're getting past the initial impulse and into things that work to give the story some texture. Also, frankly, now that I am on the case here, on the project, my sensors are out. When you start to write something, you start to just be looking for, merchandise, merch, Walter Murch, it's a name. Boom, got something. You start to look at that. Serial killer stories, which frankly I have not read in a while. All of a sudden, I'm tuned to them and I see one in the newspaper and I get this idea for the character. And the character goes from cliched, middle-aged white man threat to a weird, pathetic old man who's still a threat. Cool. I'm interested in how that's going to happen. All right. Notes. Back to the notes I've made. Once again, why do we love serial killers? This is a theme. This is a big, big question of this story. Where's my themes? See, this is why you want your overview to be smaller. You want your overview to be boiled down to a couple of easy things that you can just look at. As it is now, themes. Okay. Why do we love serial killers? I'm just repeating it over and over. It'll be easy to get that slimmed down a little. There's less words here because it's the same thing. They're unlikely to be our real problem. That was what I came to. Of all the reasons that we love serial killers, I think one of the best is that they're unlikely, like we're not going to run into, we believe somewhere in our hearts, we are not going to be the victim of a serial killer. We may be afraid of a lot of things, but we can afford to be afraid of a serial killer because it's not really going to happen to us. That is the core of the vision, is our denial, our ability to say, I can take the freeway every day when that is far more likely to kill us than a serial killer. And yet we just say, no, that's fine. And then we go home and we watch serial killer stories and we go, ooh, how scary, but satisfying because it's not going to happen to us. Anyway, we love serial killers. So that was a note. I thought about the difference between us as serial killer consumers, people who watch serial killer stories and enjoy them, and the real victims, this article about the victims of Cottingham was talking about their families who for 30 years did not know what happened to their daughters and sisters, and how brutally disruptive of our lives, how traumatic it is to have that happen, even if you're not the direct victim. I want to get into that here in this story as well. I have to say that was actually one of the great things about the McNamara story was how much that was focused on it. It's on HBO Max. I'll Be Gone in the Dark, I believe, is it? So, all right. So this is just more to think about. All right. So there we go. So one of the things that I wanted to just tell you a little bit about here, because we've been going for a while, is I have put last week's outline and overview on my website. And every weekend I will do the same. I will say whatever I've done to the documents. If you want to read through it and see where we stand, it will be on writingforscreens.com. There is a little section, it's called Creative. And there's a grid of my different creative projects that I wanted you to have access to. I'm going to keep putting new scripts and things on there. But at the moment, there is a section. Let's see. Can I do this? Let's try this. We are doing a live experiment. I am going, as we speak, I am going to the website, and I'm going to see if this works. Let's see what happens. Look at that. You can see it more or less. Is that correct? Yeah, I think so. So this is the Writing for Screens website. If you go down, there's this grid. And on this grid, if you go to the bottom right corner, it says Creative. See that? Oh, no, you can't see that because of my face. Hold on. Well, I guess I could just move it a little. Is that, yes, it is. That's helping. Okay, so now, see this one here? Creative, right by my right there. Right there. Oh, look at that. I did it. Creative. You click Creative, and it will open this delightful and witty portfolio. There's all these different projects. This one here, this one that's going pink and black, it says latest outline and overview for the UPKP, Untitled Podcaster Killer Project. If you click that, it will give you this week's outline and overview. It's these two red things here. You click them, it downloads a PDF to you, and you can see what I have been up to. You can see the whole document because right now it is honestly a little hard for you to see this when I'm working on the screen. You're only seeing a little slice of it. A document is a big, long 8.5 by 11 thing, and we know that it's useful to be able to read through something and understand how I've organized it. So that's there. It is there for you for free because it's not worth any money. All right. I am going to conclude this fake live broadcast because it's time to go figure out how to make the live thing work again. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Go write something.